Hello and welcome to Big Speak. I'm your host, Brigadier Rakesh Bhatia. In today's episode, we will talk about Battle of Shalatang. Shalatang is a small town which is located approximately 12 kilometers on the road from Baramulla to Srinagar. This is the battle which was won over by Indian Army in 20 minutes and because of which the whole momentum shifted in the favor of Indian forces. What was the force level as on 2nd November 1947? One full strength battalion, that is First Sikh, was in Valley. There was a requirement to build two more battalions. Enemy was superior in numbers. That enemy was employing elusive, fleeting, or difficult to catch tactics. It was appreciated that there are a number of routes which are leading to Srinagar. It was imperative for the Indian forces to ensure that all routes are taken care of. The ultimate aim, as stated by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, was to evict the tribesmen past Domain. This task surely required minimum one infantry division. The internal security situation in the country was also deteriorating at fast pace. This is how the status was as on 2nd November 1947. As covered in the previous episode, one Sikh was still at Patna. However, it was reinforced by two rifle companies, ex-12 Frontier Force, which had moved from Pakistan to India. There was also a rifle company of Sikhs who were originally from the mountain artillery, which was now part of Pakistan Army. The overall strength of one Sikh, which was located at Patna, was approximately 1,200 men, which is a very strong battalion. One Kumaon parachute battalion had 650 personnel. It was commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Pritam Singh and was responsible for security of the vital airfield at Srinagar. Two companies of 4 Kumaon were manning the airfield and they were also acting as the brigade reserve. One Punjab, again majority of its troops who were Punjabi Muslims had moved to Pakistan and the unit was left with 450 all rights. This could not be built up to the required strength. It was deployed at Magam on road to Gulmarg. On 3rd November at about 1500 hours, the enemy started engaging the 4 Kumaon battalion which had moved to Badgam at that time. It was engaged by 3-inch mortars and MMGs and was heavily outnumbered. Major Somnath Sharma, the company commander, died because while he was busy fighting the enemy, a mortar shell exploded on the ammunition dump near him. His last message to brigade headquarters, received a few moments before he was killed, was, "The enemy is only 50 yards from us. We are hopelessly outnumbered. I will not withdraw 1 inch but fight to the last man, last drop." Realizing the pressure on 4 Kumaon, one Punjab was tasked to withdraw from Magam in the area of Humho Badgam to take up defensive positions in order to seal off the route to Srinagar. The unit moved speedily. 4 Kumaon fell back under heavy enemy pressure to one Punjab new location. The road to Srinagar now was blocked for the raiders. Had 4 Kumaon not been there at 1500 hours at Badgam, been withdrawn earlier, the enemy would have had a free run to Srinagar. The situation even now on night was pretty precarious as one Punjab standing in front of Srinagar was a weak battalion with just 400 troops. On 4th November, Sardar Patel visited Srinagar and directed Brigadier Sen that Srinagar be saved at all costs and assured reinforcement soon. The same evening, he got a message that 2 infantry battalion, 1 squadron of armored car and a battery of field arty gun were being dispatched by road and would reach his location by 7th November. The engineers had during this period improved the road from Pathankot to Jammu. One Sikh was still at Patan and so blocking the road from Baramulla to Srinagar, thereby denying the enemy to drive their lorries full of loot. So the enemy now had broken into small parties and reports were pouring in from many areas about their appearance. This was causing panic amongst the local population, and the fear was if the raiders managed to enter Srinagar town, it would be extremely difficult to drive them from a built up area. Post Badgam, the brigade commanders appreciated the situation and he concluded the raiders had no love lost for the valley. All they had come was for loot. This was evident by the manner in which they burned villages after villages while advancing and got involved in looting and pillaging. So, if the raiders are allowed a free run right from Baramulla to Srinagar, they would come with their lorries full of loot as they would be in a hurry to capture Srinagar, and so would attack the defenses blocking the route to Srinagar. And that would provide an opportunity to make a kill. Brigadier Sen, the commander 161, contemplated. Hence, Brigadier Sen planned to withdraw one Sikh from Patan to Srinagar, which was the stumbling block for the raiders, and in the backdrop of battle at Badgam, the raiders would feel confident and believe that the Indian forces have suffered a setback. So, finding the road open, they would come full steam with their lorries and recklessly attack the well prepared defenses, blocking their entry into the Srinagar town. This would allow the commander to get behind the marching tribals and destroy them. One Sikh was pulled back to Srinagar, although it would found to be a disastrous and so was opposed by superiors, but Brigadier Sen stood his ground. There was only one all-weather road that could take the enemy to Srinagar, and Brigadier Sen selected the best spot near Shalateng, which provided him a big killing ground which the raiders would have to cross through. So he deployed one Kumaon at rifle range or Chandmari as it is called locally. This location dominated the road to Srinagar with one Sikh, a strong battalion because of two additional companies, thus adequately blocking the route to Srinagar. One Punjab, a weak battalion, was located at Badgam, and four Kumaon, again with just two companies, was at airfield. However, there was hardly any brigade reserve. The moment one Sikh was withdrawn from Patan, the enemy parties started getting concentrated at Patan. The plan was that to hold the enemy at Shalatang by the troops already in position. It was contemplated that enemy would not be able to contact the defenses before 8th of November 1947. It was planned that on night November 9th and November 10th, the two new infantry battalions that were likely to join the brigade on 7th November, with the help of guides provided by one Punjab and one Sikh, will make an encircling move via Maghan and launch an attack at Patan on 10th November morning, first night. And as soon as the enemy is sandwiched between Patan and Srinagar, he would be subjected to attack both from front and rear. Thereafter, troops from Srinagar would advance towards Patan. However, another contingency plan was prepared in case enemy attacks before the reinforcements were ready to carry out an encircling movement. The plan was deploy one of the newly arrived battalions in depth in the rifle range area and the other battalion kept reserve at Srinagar. Brigadier Sen expected that the enemy would march at night and would not like to carry out a frontal attack against the defenses. This hope gave confidence to the brigadier, who knew that the defenses are thinly held. However, on 5th November, an unfortunate incident led to moving one Sikh from southeast Srinagar to rifle range area in death, leaving Srinagar exposed from southeast. Fortunately, on 6th November evening, Major Inder Rike, along with his troop of armored cars, landed up. He, in order to reach Srinagar at the earliest, left rest of his squadron behind because of some problem in crossing the narrow bridge at Rambar. Brigadier Sen decided to use this troop to carry out a recce of the area Bandipur, which was approximately 35 miles from Srinagar, because there were reports that the enemy raiders have been seen in that area. As expected by the commander, the enemy, in a hurry to reach Srinagar, forgot to first capture the dominating positions and secure their backside by establishing a firm base before taking on Srinagar defenses. They probably thought that the manner in which they had captured towns en route Srinagar would also fall the same way. More so, they were aware that Srinagar airfield was the only means available from where Indian Army could reinforce, and so probably they were in a hurry to capture the airfield. The rest of the reinforcements, as promised, could not make it before 7th of November. Suddenly, in the evening, the enemy started appearing and firing upon the one Sikh defenses in order to ascertain the enemy positions. Brigadier Sen requested Air Force to carry out recce sorties. They reported hundreds of lorries moving on the road to Srinagar. The same are marked on the map which you see on the screen. The confirmation of raiders closing in made Brigadier Sen to now change his plan immediately. He ordered Lieutenant Newell David of 7th Cavalry, who was on reconnaissance with two armored cars, to Gandarbal Bandipur area to attack the enemy from rear upon reaching Shalatang village. As you see, the original plan was to move to Bandipur, but the route was changed and the two armored cars followed the route as marked by the red arrows while moving to Shalatang. There was an unmetalled road from Karnum to Sumbal. Road joined the main Srinagar Baramulla road at the village of Shalatang. At Go, the hell broke loose. Shot up in the rear by armored car, frontally by one Sikh. One Kamau, in the meantime, was moved from its location near the airfield to cover the right flank of the enemy. There was a complete confusion amongst the raiders. Raiders turned, and while they were trying to flee, there was Jhelum River on one side, one Kumau, one Sikh, covering the two ends, while the armored car was firing automatic weapon from the rear. And then the Air Force struck the fleeing enemy. Some of the raiders managed to run towards Baramulla, leaving the entire fleet of vehicles standing on the road Baramulla to Srinagar. There were 472 raiders who died on the battlefield, and 146 bodies were recovered from the road between Shalatang and Baramulla. 138 buses and load carriers were abandoned by the raiders. The question which I anticipate from Battle of Shalatang could be that it was a decisive battle that shifted the momentum in favor of Indian forces. This battle played a pivotal role in preventing the fall of Srinagar and securing the Kashmir Valley. Evaluate from a military commander's perspective the battle's strategic, operational, and tactical lessons that are crucial in understanding modern-day conflict, particularly in mountainous terrain. You can cover the answer of this question in following hits. Effective use of combined arms operation, where infantry armor coordination was carried out. The tanks provided cover for the infantry, enabling them to advance and outflank an enemy position, while also delivering devastating firepower in open terrain. The tactical use of armor in mountainous terrain, though challenging, was decisive in this battle. Importance of intelligence and reconnaissance, wherein the tribal movement were studied and analyzed, which enabled the brigade commander to predict the likely enemy positions. Indian Air Force carried out effective reconnaissance missions to assess the strength and positions of the tribal forces. Terrain was used as a force multiplier. The mountainous terrain around Shalatang played a significant role in shaping the tactics that was used. There is no doubt that better knowledge of terrain enabled the commander to divert armored cars as well as move one Kumau to a position to outflank enemy. Psychological warfare and morale was also affected. The initial momentum of the tribal invasion, fueled by the promise of loot and quick victory, was shattered by disciplined and organized response of the Indian Army. The appearance of armored vehicles, coordinated fire, and use of air attacks severely impacted the morale of the tribal forces, leading to a disorganized retreat. At the same time, the successful defense of Srinagar and the counteroffensive at Shalatang boosted the morale of Indian forces. The battle reinforced confidence in Indian military capabilities. With this, I come to the end of today's episode. You requested to please like, share, and comment. All the best. Jai Hind.